Help me. So we went through some of the process of how we got specimens to Amphioxus. So I want to do the same thing with UTMB, but under the first contract, because it appears that there was a renegotiated contract where there was maternal blood and what have you additional. I don't want to go into that yet. Let's just go to the beginning. Under the original contract, what specimens were conveyed to UTMB from Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast, Planned Parenthood Center for Choice?
Objection calls for speculation, vague, assumes facts not in evidence, and lacks foundation.
I'll help you. I think I understand what you're asking. The products of conception were what was needed in order to isolate, to be able to focus on the placenta for the analysis.
Okay. And then I also want to make sure I honor your attorney's objections too, so we'll just kind of walk back through. So we had a first contract with UTMB, we talked about that. There were specimens that were provided to UTMB under that contract, is that correct?
Yes, I believe that was correct. You're initializing that your pre-statement is putting things out of order, but okay. I think you're correct.
What's out of order? But I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Contracts are coordinated, negotiated before sample collection commences.
Okay, so contract's signed, it's all signed and sealed. Collection commences. What is collected by, and I want to make sure I'm getting the difference between, can I say Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast to be the collector, or should I say Planned Parenthood Center for Choice as the collector?
Objection vague.
Should I say Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast, since the research department really is doing the conveying of the specimens, or should I talk about the separate?
If you're talking about who was the provider, for example, that was the abortion providing entity. And if you're talking about my role and where I fit into this, I am in Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast.
So, so we got we signed, sealed the contract. We begin. The abortion providing entity begins to collect specimens pursuant to the contract. What specimens are then conveyed to UTMB under the contract?
Objection vague.
Products of conception.
Okay, and in what? Which products of conception?
Objection vague.
And if I may, was it? Well, the idea is because so for instance, was it the entire products of conception from the abortion procedure?
That is my understanding. Yes.
Okay, so there was no. It was not a partial. If you'll help me, the abortion providing staff did not extract certain products of conception to then convey to UTMB.
That's my understanding.
Okay, and then how were those products of conception conveyed to UTMB? I'm sorry, what packaging was used to convey those products of conception to UTMB?
I don't recollect. I do recollect that it had to be a sterile container of some sort.
All right. And then I think we can go back to some of these. I think well, actually, I guess I should ask that. So for the UTMB study, was sterile collection used from the beginning and through any amendments to the study to the end?
That's a good question. I don't remember if it started off with sterile collection. I do remember at some point that discussion coming up, but I don't recall if it started off that way. So,
Okay. And then, and just so that I'm clear, in terms of the placental tissue, you don't recall what part of the placenta, so I'm just laying some foundation, and you've got more scientific knowledge than I do. Within the placenta, there are, within the placenta, I understand there are certain tissues that are the fetal tissues and certain tissues that are the maternal tissues. Is that accurate?
Objection calls for an expert opinion, lacks foundation, vague.
I think that's probably an accurate general non-medical description.
Okay. Do you have a better description that you would use? Oh,
The
we've got it.
powers.
We're off of mute, right? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay. Do you have a better description of the tissues within the placental tissue?
I like yours.